Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our playthrough of last week was not our third period test in Appa Hockey. I'm trying to remember what last week's video was off the top of my head, and I know I make so many videos that I don't always remember what I'm doing off the top of my head. I think last week was Invaders from Dimension X. Our first adventure of that, it was. We're staying in space this week, but we're moving back to a more familiar universe as we play Twilight Inscription by Fantasy Flight Studios. This is a game that's set in the Twilight Imperium universe, but it's a roll and write. It's a standard beat the high score roll and write. I've got everything all set here. I think the only things to do are to go through our goals. So on navigation, our goal this time is to claim 5 planet systems on navigation. And that'll actually tie into our special ability of the faction we're playing with. 5 victory points if we do that before the AI does. Then we've got Expansionist. Claim an asset from 4 different planets and or space stocks. 5 and 3 there as well. Then on Industry, our goal here is to have 10 scrapped spaces. And secured assets on Warfare. Claim 6 asset nodes. And the faction we're playing as tonight is the Lizix MindNet. Assimilate is their special ability. On setup, cross out 1 planetary asset on each planet, which I did that already during setup when I was setting up last night. When I claim a planet system on navigation, I can deploy 3 infantry. That'll be on Warfare. And when I win a war, I claim the next population asset in the population track. Inheritance systems is our guild ship. Choose 2 sheets and resolve 1 per active technology on each, even if those technologies are locked. So that could be very useful for us. I think we're all set here. I'll bring the dice. I'll put the dice over to my right. I'm going to move the event deck over to this side, so I have a little bit of an easier time getting to it. And we'll jump right into this game. If you've got a copy of Twilight Inscription, you can pull out a set of sheets, use the B side, and play along with me on this. And since I will have OBS open, I can interact with chat and answer any questions if you're playing live. Our first card is First Ventures. So the way these cards work is we get the resources, we choose an active sheet, spend the resources on there, and then I'll roll the dice and spend the dice resources. To be clear, Ty said flatly, you knew the ship had no weapons, no fuel, and faulty navigation when you purchased it. And yet, he gestured, here we are. So I think with that in mind, I am going to make navigation active right away. And then I'll use the 3 pink resources for 3 explorers. So we'll go... I think here I want to go... Let's go 1, 2, 3. And then I'll bring the dice in so we can roll those. We've got our 6 dice here. The 3 black dice I get automatically. The 3 colored dice start out being for the Automa, but I can unlock focused dice assets to be able to pay attention to those dice later in the game. Let's see what we get here. Okay, that's actually not bad. So on the Mechatol Rex sheet, the Automa spends their dice a little bit differently. So for the double blue cube symbol, that'll cross off 2 votes for them on the agendas. That'll make more sense later on. Then for the single pink that they rolled, we'll cross off a combat strength for them. And then the single green gives them progress toward Mechatol Rex. So we'll cross off a green symbol there. And then those dice are done, so I'll put those out of the way for the time being. I'm also done with the Mechatol Rex sheet. So now I can turn my attention to what I got here. So I got an N, which is another explore, which I think I'm going to explore I think I'm going to explore here, since it's pretty clear that the AI is going to make a beeline. Well, seems like they're going to make a beeline for Mechatol Rex. Then I'm going to claim a planetary system, since I've got 2 claims to work with. That's how the cubes get spent on this sheet. And another claim is going to be a triangle asset. So let's deal with the planetary first. When I claim a system on navigation, I deploy 3 infantry. So that'll send me back over to warfare. So here I am going to deploy infantry, and I can deploy them anywhere. So I'll start off on the bottom line. So 1, 2, and 3. And then since I made navigation active and I claimed a planetary system, I can actually go to expansion and do something if I want to, and I think I do. So I'm going to be doing quite a bit here. So I'm going to start off by claiming the space dock. That'll let me pay attention to the green focus die. So the space docks are divided by a slash here. You can pay either a planetary asset or 5 pink resources to unlock the green focus die asset. In this case, I'm spending the planetary system that I just unlocked to gain the ability to unlock the green focus die on any sheet. Also, because I claimed a triangle resource, that'll bring me down to my production tree down here, so I can circle the first triangle resource there. So now I've got progress there as well. That'll do it for that card. So now let's draw our next card and see what we get. Echoes of the Past, 1 of each resource. Harug gripped the straps of his pack tightly. Even in the blazing sun, he felt a chill run down his spine. The spirits of the dead roamed here. He could feel them. With 2 more explorers, or with, Well, I think we're gonna make navigation active again. I'm gonna bring that up. Then I've got 2 explorers and a claim here, so I'm going to move. So we're gonna go explore, explore. Then I'm going to claim another planetary asset right away, which will send me back over to warfare, where I can deploy infantry again. So, with that in mind, I'm going to deploy. I'm probably going to get 6 asset nodes pretty easily here. In fact, we'll go 4 on another victory point. Let's go actually 5 and 6. So I'm working on that a little bit. And then we'll bring the dice back in and roll again. I might be able to claim Rex this turn if things go just right. But we'll see about that. Okay, looks like I can claim Rex if I want it, and I might well take it. Let's see, so green gives them progress toward Rex, blue gives them another vote, and the pink gives them another combat strength. With 2 explorers and a claim, I think I will go ahead, take an explorer up to Rex for 1 explorer. And then I've got a second explorer, which will be to another planetary system. And then I will go ahead and claim Rex right away, which, since I got there first, so Lizix MindNet, which gives me 3 more votes. Right, yep, 3 more votes. And 7 victory points. That'll be later in the game. So 7 victory points right there. Okay. And now that I've got a planetary asset, I'll probably I'll probably make expansion active and start working on a planet there. But let's see what we get for our next event card first. Fledgling Empire with 2 blues. Donnell smiled softly. A rare occurrence these days, to be sure. Glory to the Yin, my brothers. You have done us all proud. And I think, yes, we are going to make expansion active. The question is, do I want to pay attention to the green focus die on this sheet? And I think the answer... I think the answer right now is not yet. But I will spend the planetary asset that I just claimed. On navigation to unlock a new planet. And I'm going to unlock the... I think I'm actually going to unlock this industrial planet. And then with 2 blue, I'm going to mark these 2 spaces off. Then we'll bring the dice the dice tray and shot, and I'll roll these dice. All right, a double green gives them progress toward expansion. Then a double blue gives them progress toward industry. And the double pink gives them access toward navigation, gives them progress toward navigation. Then we've got 1 of each resource, which I'm going to use the N and the triangle to unlock this asset. My plan is to go over to warfare soon and unlock my dreadnought. So those 2 are done. And then with another blue, I'm going to mark off this mark. I can't get the population asset there, but I can work on the counselor up here for another vote. And then that's it for that event. So now we're into stage 2 already. Let's see what we get here. I'm probably going to make warfare active next. Toward a new home. The cargo ships blasted out of the planet's gravity field. Their destination was weeks away, if not months. For all, it meant the promise of new life. For some, it would mean death. And I will indeed make warfare active this time. And I think here's the sheet where I'm going to spend that green focus asset that I unlocked to pay attention to the green focus die here. I'm also going to spend the red resource that I unlocked on the red technology that I unlocked on industrial. That's a specialty, actually, to let me build my dreadnought. Let me build dreadnoughts. And I think with 3 pink, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and build a cruiser, which gives me a victory point. Then the cruiser is going to go up here, which will also let me claim a population asset. And I claimed it up on there already. Plus, it also gives me the objective on secured assets. So that's another 5 victory points on the objective. Okay. And now I get to roll. Now I'll roll the dice. And since I spent the green focus die asset that I got from expansion, I can pay attention to the green focus die on warfare. Okay. The green gives them access to Mechatol Rex. The double N gives them progress on navigation. And the single blue gives them another vote. So those 2 can leave shot. But I do get to pay attention to the green die, which is actually just perfect because I can use all of those to build my first dreadnought. Now where do I want to put it down? I think the way I want to do this Question is, where do I want it to contribute more? Let's see. They're coming at me with a combat strength of 4. That was our first. This is our first stage 2 event, so we could have the war event now. They're coming at me with 4. So I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put the dreadnought down right here, divide it between a few wars. I'm going to put it down here. So those 2 are done. And then for the blue, I'm going to use it to start building a PDS. I'll probably need that for later wars. Then we'll bring warfare out of shot, and we'll see what happens on our next stage 2 event. Our next stage 2 event, redefine trade routes, production event. Claim 1 trade good on industry for each unlocked +1 trade good icon in your industry chart. Station master, Keir said, fidgeting nervously. We can't just show up expecting cargo. These routes have been dead for centuries. Artuno smirked. See to it that they are reinstated then. The memorial will accompany you if necessary. The nomad's coffers will be filled. Unfortunately, we have not unlocked any +1 trade goods, so we don't get that. And our next event, relics rediscovered. Zwanjay was practically beaming with pleasure, though none would ever know it. Their research had borne fruit. The vault was precisely where it was thought to be. I think with a green, with a green resource to spend, let's make industry active. I'll claim this circle resource right here, which will now give me access to that and now +1 trade good. And then we'll roll the dice. Double green gives them progress on expansion. That gives them another strength, which I think it'll be fine. So those 2 are done, and that gives them another vote. And then here's what we get to pay attention to. We do have a scrap, so that's perfect. The N is actually a scrap, which I'll use to scrap this space, and then I'll go claim. So that'll give me another vote. And my guild ship, where I can choose 2 sheets and resolve 1 per active technology on each, even if those technologies are locked. So, with that in mind, I'm going to make it navigation I'm going to select navigation as one of my sheets. The per active here is to claim up to 2 explored small systems. So with that in mind, I'm going to claim these 2 explored small systems. These are both industrial assets those are both commodities on the industry chart. So that means I can go here and mark off that I have those 2. Then I'm going to go, what other sheet do I want to make active at this point? I could deploy 2 infantry. Each infantry has to be adjacent to something, to another unit, and can go below the deployment line. That was 1 active sheet. I think the other one is going to be, I think we're going to go to industry, actually, where I can choose a space with a counselor and either scrap or claim it. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose this space down here that's got a counselor, and I'm going to scrap it so I can claim everything around it. Okay, actually, I was about to get the navigation sheet out of shot, and actually navigation and industry need to switch places. So which one was done? Secured assets was done, which means our next card coming up, border conflict. Advance the deployment line, then resolve a war against each neighbor using the sections immediately below the deployment line. Now, Unlin. Evelyn smirked as she hailed the Viscount's heavy cruiser. Looking to bring history to life, are we? She gave the signal, and the Benthic's railguns whirred to life. So the deployment line advances. We go here. And then we see that they have a strength of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, criminy. I needed to make warfare active one more time. Let me just double check, make sure I've got that straight. It should be based on, yep. Actually, no, based on the last thing they have crossed out. So I think I've been doing that wrong this whole time. Equal to the rightmost crossed out icon. Okay. So they actually have 4 strength, which means I win both wars with a strength of 5. Which gives me access to a green specialty, asset and another planetary system, which that's very welcome. I'll immediately spend the planetary system on space dot, or on navigation, or on expansion, I should say. I'll cross that off to give me access to the pink die, the pink focus die asset. Then do I want to spend it? Because that's another scrap on industry. That's more troops on warfare. That would be more explorers on navigation. Or extra resources here. Claim an asset from 4 different planets and or space docks. So we've claimed an asset. So we've claimed 3 assets, which means we're almost done with sourcing expert. I think I am going to spend it. The only question is, what sheet do I want to pay attention to it on? And I think I want to pay attention to it on industry. And then when I win a war, since I won both wars, I get to claim the next 2 population assets. Okay. So that event's all done. And now we get to see our next event. So our next event coming up. A strong foundation. Captain Ajero sighed. The work was not what he had expected, not what he'd wanted, but it had to be done. There would be time for fighting later. With 2 blues, I think we're going to make industry active this time, and I get to pay attention to the pink focus die. So I've got 2 claims here. I've also got access to a green specialty resource, and I think I'll use it here to unlock the 4 active sheet on here, which means per active, I can choose any space that contains a counselor and either scrap or claim it. And I think I'm going to scrap this counselor over here. Then with 2 blue, that is actually 2 claims. So I'm going to go. So let's go claim on a green focus die asset and claim on a pink focus die asset. Then we'll bring the Dyson shot. And I can pay attention to the yellow focus die on this sheet. So let's see what I roll here. All right, so that's a double N, which gives them progress toward navigation, a green, which gives them progress toward Rex, and a blue, which gives them access to all the votes on the agenda event, which is coming up next. So those 2 dice can leave shot, and I get to pay attention to the pink focus die on here as well, which gives me a lot more scrapping. So I've got 1 claim and 4 scraps. Let's go. Well, we're definitely going to go, and I need to have 10 scrap spaces anyway. I've got 3 right now, so let's go scrap, scrap, Scrap. And a claim, which is going to be another pink focus die asset, which I will immediately spend both of. Actually, I'm immediately going to spend these focus dice assets. So I want to pay attention to green on industry. As for pink, I want to pay attention to pink on navigation and on warfare. I think I want to pay attention to it as well. Okay. And now that we're all set there, presumably we've got the next agenda event coming up. Or we've got the agenda event coming up. Council event it is, we do. Claim 1 vote on industry for each unlocked +1 vote icon on your industry chart. Then, flip and vote on the Stage 2 agenda. The din of the council chamber faded as the speaker called for order. Today's session would be pivotal. The Caleres proclamation was to be signed into full effect. Kanaj smiled. A new chapter in his career would begin today. All right, so +1 vote gives me 2 more votes. And then we vote on the Stage 2 agenda. In the solo game, the agendas work slightly different than they would in the multiplayer game, where in the multiplayer game, you'd get a standard pass and fail. Here, I'll see if I can point it out. Some of the cards will have a star icon like that on them. We need 1 with an agenda, or 1 with that icon, and 1 without. Right? So draws the first card for the agenda deck until they draw an eligible counter agenda. So if the agenda under the pass, okay, yep. Just double checking that. So we draw the first agenda either way, and then we draw the opposite one. All right, so we'll bring the speaker card in shot. We know they're casting at least 5 votes. So let's see what the first agenda is. Pass. The player who casts the most pass votes chooses a technology on navigation. All players cross out that technology. It can't be used for the rest of the game. And now we need 1 with a star, which is the good one. Here we go, fail. The player who casts the most fail votes chooses a commodity type. On navigation, each player claims a system that contains that commodity, even if unexplored, and explores it from an adjacent system. Okay. So all players the player who casts the most pass votes chooses a technology on navigation. Right. Well, I'm deciding how many of my votes I want to dump into this. And then choose a commodity type. So we would explore that from an adjacent system. That would give me access to a blue commodity, actually. I would just lose the gravity drive, which I don't use that. So that's probably not that big a deal, honestly. And the odds I'm going to actually get clear of this agenda are not great. I know some are more dangerous later in the game, so I'm not going to cast any votes on this, which means I'm automatically going to get outvoted. So the AI will cast all 5 of their votes, plus no more votes. So I'm going to cross off the gravity drive on navigation, which means I can't use that for the rest of the game. And the rest of then these can actually go back to the box at this point. Okay, so that event's done, and now we're into Stage 3 already. So our next event here, we need to claim 5 planets. We got to do some exploring then. I might have to make navigation active next. Technological frontier. Another jolt from the machine surged through Rin's limbs. It no longer bothered her. She was changing, not just mentally, but physically as well. And yep, I think I will make navigation active here. Green is 1 explore, which I'm going to explore. I'm going to explore out here. And I do get to pay attention to the pink focus die when I'm on navigation. I may go over to industry so I can try to unlock a blue focus die asset. But let's see what we get here. And I forgot to mark off 7 victory points for getting to Rex first. Okay. So blue is giving them another vote on the agenda. Pink is giving them another war strength. And the double green is giving them access to navigation. So blue and green can leave shot. I've got 2 explorers and 2 claims. So we're going to go... let's go... 1, 2, and I'm going to go 1, 2 to claim a relic. So now I'll grab the relic deck by the Rex deck. So I've got right here. I was going to say it looked like I jarred the camera, but I didn't. We'll shuffle this up. We'll give this a cut, and we'll draw for our relic. So the relic we find here is Dominus Orb. Play immediately. Deploy 2 dreadnoughts anywhere except on another unit or an anomaly. Kesh Sish raised the orb skyward, harsh red light pouring forth into her crystal. Maban felt raw terror for the first time in her life. It was all she could do to keep herself from fleeing at such an awesome display of power. So that's 2 victory points for that relic, but I get 2 dreadnoughts immediately. So going over to warfare with that. Let's see. Over to warfare, what do I want to do with these 2 dreadnoughts? I can deploy them anywhere except on another unit or an anomaly. Well, I definitely want to unlock this guild ship down here. So we're going to deploy 1 dreadnought fully into this war. And then another dreadnought. Definitely would love the pink focus die. I'm going to deploy that one like this. Which is going to give me more progress on the population track on expansion. Okay, so that one's done, which means warfare can leave shot. And then I've got the Dominus Orb that I've deployed. Then our next event, Bustling Economies, +1 trade good, which we actually have one this time. Karth breathing in the familiar air of the Silver Sands. Home, were it that he never had to leave. And a trade good I can spend as any resource I need. Let's see, and I never did spend that planetary asset. And hey, Jester, what's going on? I saw you were streaming something earlier. Need to watch this from the beginning. Well, it's probably not helpful jumping in the middle of the game. You don't know what I'm... Yeah, this late in the game isn't going to help you much. Not only with the how to play, but you're probably very confused on why I'm making some of the decisions I am. So I'm going to spend my planetary system there to give myself access to a blue focus die asset. And then that gives me assets from 4 different planets and or space docks, which will give me 5 victory points for the objective. Okay. And that also gives me access to a blue focus die asset, which I actually am going to spend because I want to pay attention to that while I'm on... I need to get 2 more planetary systems. Now, where do I want to pay attention to blue? You don't ever doubt the decisions I make. Usually right most of the time. Well, glad you have faith in me on that. Even if sometimes they don't work out, I at least try to explain what I'm doing. Now, for the blue focus die asset, I'm just deciding where I want to spend that. Given that I need more claims on... Actually, I could use claims on both navigation and industry. I'm not really doing much with expansion. I think I'm going to use access to the blue focus die. I think I'm going to use access to that on navigation. I could definitely use more claims there. All right, that was our production event. So next up should be a strategy event. I know I've got the warfare event coming up as well. They're looking at 3 strength currently. So could be a plan to try to set up for the next war, especially if I think they're not going to gain much more strength. But let's see what we get for our next stage 3 event. This will be a strategy event. And indeed it is, border defense. With 2 blue resources, Connor radioed command. You're right, it was nearly impenetrable. Moments later, the shield pylons came crashing down, useless. So what do I want to do with 2 blue here? 2 blue here. I think we're actually going to have a rare moment here. And are we going to go to navigation? So I know I've either got an agenda event or a war event coming up next. What is it actually called? Well, war event. Yep. Okay. So I've got one of those coming up. The question is, what do I think is coming up next? Do I think it's an agenda event coming up, or do I think it's war coming up next? Well, the problem is I don't know. It's a 50-50 shot now that the production event for stage 3 is out. Right now, they've only got a strength of 4. And I'm definitely coming over the top of them right now in both of these. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strength on the left side of the second war, and 3, 4, 5 on the right side. They can only get to 4 for the next war as of now, assuming it's next. So I think I am going to gamble a little bit here, and I am going to make expansion active. The reason I want to make expansion active is if I can get to this yellow specialty asset when I come back up to... Well, let me finish explaining this and I'll look at that comment. The reason I'm wanting to make expansion active here is if I can get to this... Let me bring it up so you can see. If I can get to this yellow specialty asset... yes, it's a specialty asset. I can then come up to navigation, spend it, and the technology there is instantly active. I don't just need my guild ship to be able to unlock that. So I am going to gamble a little bit here, and I'm going to mark off these two blue spots on my industrial planet. You think you'd like the game I played? The Guild of Merchant Explorers on BGA, opposite of cartographers. You have the map, and you're expending terrain cards to explore the map. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a pen in with me, but I did bring my phone in. So I will mark down to take a look at that game at some point. I've got a few others that I'm looking into, but I will add that one to the list. Guild of, what's it called? Merchant Explorers. I'll set that as a perpetual reminder. We'll set that save for the 31st. Oop, that's not what I wanted to have happen. scheduled. Let's do this. If I set it for today, it'll stay perpetually overdue. There we go. Okay, now that I got that figured out, I don't have any focus dice to pay attention to on this sheet. So I'm gambling I'm going to be able to roll 2 pink resources on my black dice. Let's see what we get here. Well, that actually worked out. We got lucky there. So the pink die gives them 1 more combat strength, up to 4. Then the green gives them access toward Rex. They get to Rex. And then the double blue gives them progress toward industry. So those 3 dice can leave the shot. Just watch the last gameplay. I stopped in very briefly, but I was starting to set up here. So I'll go back and check that out later. Probably after I get to the point where I'm just setting up the teams in the morning for Game 5 tomorrow of the ALDS. Let's see. Let's see. So the 2 N resources definitely, so that worked out for me, which gives me access to the yellow technology that I wanted to get, the yellow specialty asset that I wanted to get to. Then the green, I will actually spend that toward the neural motivator, which is a per active. I can on each unlocked planet cross out an N or a cube resource in a row or column that has a population asset. We'll get that out of shot for the time being, and then we'll see what our next event is here. Like I said, it's either the agenda event or the war event. Or the council event, I should say. It's the council event, partisan maneuvering. Claim 1 vote, yada, yada, yada. The Titan stared silently as the other diplomats argued. These small creatures, always squabbling, always grasping for more. Her thoughts drifted to the UI, to home, and she sighed audibly. So we've got 2 more votes unlocked. And we'll bring the speaker card back in shot and look at our stage 3 agendas. We'll give these a quick shuffle. And a cut. And our first agenda to look at. And I explained this earlier, Jester, but if you see the star up here, when you're playing solo, you need to look for the opposite agenda for the other one. On navigation, each player claims all explored systems that contain a commodity. Then they explore all systems that contain a commodity and are adjacent to an explored system. Ooh, that could be very useful. How many votes are they casting? They're casting 2 votes on this. And a fail. On expansion, each player crosses out 4 unclaimed population assets. Well, since I know that they're casting a minimum of 2 votes, equal to the rightmost crossed out. So they're casting a minimum of 2 votes, depending on the die roll. And that's actually a very useful thing. Claims all explored systems that contain a commodity. Then explore all systems that contain a commodity and are adjacent to an explored. So that would give me... Actually, that would give me a few explored systems. Yeah. So I think I'm going to cast 5 votes into this. This way, they can't come over top of me no matter what they do, no matter what the die roll is here. So the AI is casting 2 plus 2 votes. So you lose the rest of that. The agenda passes, and I get the good effect. So on navigation, I claim all explored systems that contain a commodity, which will actually just be this system right here. But I more want that for the additional explore. So that gives me another resource on my industry tree. And then I explore all systems that contain a commodity and are adjacent. So we explore there, here, and here. Okay, and actually while I'm on navigation, I will go ahead and spend the yellow focused asset, or the yellow specialty, to get the integrated economy that I wanted. So now, anytime I make navigation active, I can claim up to 2 explored small systems. All right, then actually those can move toward the box as well. And then our next stage 3 event, so I know the war event's coming up. The question is, do I want to take a chance on... The question is going to be, do I want to take a chance on the AI potentially rolling a double N on the pink die? Let's see what we get here first for resources. We get 3 pink, maximum yield. The Harvest of Ordinian was so complete that even the planet's core was depleted. The Necro left nothing usable. Only its lifeless shell remained. So 3 pink would let me build another cruiser. Let's see. They're at a strength of at least 5, depending on the roll here. Right now I'm at 8 on the left side and 6. Actually, I'm at 5 on the right. So I am going to make warfare active here. So with 3 pink, I'm actually going to go ahead and build another cruiser. Question is, where do I want to put it down? I'm going to put it down right here along the edge, because I want to guard against the possibility of getting blindsided here. Thanks, James. It's kind of hard for me not to have my arm in shot with these games. So on this sheet, I get to pay attention to the pink and green focus dice. And our roll there, they did somewhat blindside us with the pink die. I'll bring that in shot. They did somewhat blindside us with the pink die, but I'm pretty sure I'm over the top of everything there. So that's 1 more strength on combat. That's progress toward industry, and this is more progress toward Rex and warfare, but we've already claimed warfare. So the only die I need to get out of shot is the blue focus die. I get to pay attention to everything else on here. So I'll use the cube resource to build a PDS. Now the question is, where do I put it down? They're at 5 strength, and I think we set ourselves up just enough that we don't have to worry about that. So they're at 5 strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. They're not going to be able to come over top of us now. So now I want to start planning ahead. And I think where we put the PDS down is going to be up here. I'm going to claim another population asset, which sends me up the population track there. Then I've got the rest of my resources, which are 3 ends and a triangle. I think with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and build another dreadnought. I'm going to put this one down right over here in this war. Which will give me another victory point and yet another population asset. So I'm moving up that track pretty quickly. So those 3 are done. And then another N is going to be another infantry, which I will deploy that. I'll put that down here just to get the victory point, because why not? Dice can get out of my way, because I know good and well that this is the war event coming up. I'm not going to go too far with warfare. When diplomacy fails, that is the war event. The lead ship's sensors exploded in an array of alarms and damage alerts as an entire fleet poured forth from the wormhole, raining destruction upon the unsuspecting convoy. So we advance the deployment line up here. Then I total up each circle I've got marked off, and that's my total strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the left side. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Automa came at me with a strength of 5, so I win both wars, which gives me my guild ship and another pink focus die. We'll deal with the guild ship first, where now I can pick 2 sheets and choose 1 per active technology on each, even if they're locked. So I think here, cross out 1 unclaimed asset to cross out 2 resource icons. Also, that since I won both wars, I also get to cross out the next two population assets. So 1, 2. Integrated economy doesn't. Actually, it does do something for me. So I will make. Actually, I'd rather use that the next time I make navigation active. So I'm going to use industry. I can choose a space that contains the counselor and either scrap or claim it. I think we're going to go to this counselor space down here, and I'm going to scrap it. So that's there. And then for warfare, actually, do I want to make warfare, navigation, or expansion active? I think we're going to make... I think we're going to select warfare so I can start getting some more forces down right away. So I'm going to use the transit diodes to deploy 2 infantry, and I have to deploy each infantry adjacent to another unit, and I can go below the deployment line with it. I think I'll put an infantry down here, and I'll put 1 down here. I want to get some strength going early into this next war, because I don't know how long the war event is going to hold out. So now we're into stage 4. We're getting near the tail end of this game. So first event up for stage 4 is a strategy event with a green. Ball watched us one by one as each of the settlements went offline. He was not some fool to be laughed at. Who was laughing now? I'm going to make Let's make with the green. Let's actually go ahead and make navigation active at this point. So because I'm making navigation active, I can use the per active to claim 2 explored small systems. We'll go 1, 2, which will give me more progress on the industry tree. And that's those are both blue resource, or both blue, what are they, commodities. Then I'm going to spend, no, I don't need to spend the pink die to be able to pay attention to it. And I don't have a green die to be able to pay attention to that. So I'm not going to worry about that here. What I will do is I'll bring the dice tray back in shot, and we'll roll the dice. All right, so they're getting a little more strength on the setting up for warfare, another vote on the council event, and progress toward warfare. So now that's considered met. Now that's considered met if we hadn't have met it already. So the only die that needs to leave the shot is the green one. I've got 3 explorers and 2 claims. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Let's go 3. And then with 2 claims, I'm going to go 1. Actually, do I even need planets right now? Well, I need them for the objective. But I think instead, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, we are going to go for 5 to get the objective on navigation. They haven't gotten to that yet, so I've beaten them to it. Okay. Then what do I do with those planetary assets? I'll think about what I want to do with that when the next event comes up. I may be headed over to Warfare next, though. But I do have a pink focus die that I need to spend somewhere. So let's see what we get here. We get the council event. Claiming a vote, yada, yada, yada. Zeo closed her eyes and listened for a moment as her guests gasped for air, collapsing one by one as the poison took them. Such is the beauty of the Nalu, she thought. So we have 2 votes unlocked, and now I don't need to worry about counselors anymore. Plus, they're coming in early, casting 4 votes. So let's see what our Stage 4 agenda looks like. We're going to have 2 more wars to get ready for as well, so I do want to keep an eye out for that. I expect to be spending a lot of time on Warfare as we're getting toward the end of the game here. Right. Let's see what our first event is here. Our first event. The player who casts the most pass votes chooses a unit type. Each player crosses out all victory point assets for built units of that type on Warfare. I would rather not have that happen, so let's see what our other agenda is that I will probably be dumping into. That one can't be used, so it's going to be one with a star. Each player claims 1 trade good on industry for every 3 population assets they've claimed. 1, 2. That would be 2 trade goods. Let's see. They're casting at least 4 votes. I got to dump everything into this and hope I dodge a die roll. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I've got to hope I dodge a die roll here of the triangle, because that would be 2 more resources. That would cause the agenda to fail. Perfect. So that means we get the good effect there. Each player claims 1 trade good on industry for every 3 they've claimed, for every 3 population they've claimed. So 1, 2. So I get 2 trade goods. And those can all go away. And now we're done with council events now for the rest of the game. And I'm probably also spending a lot of time on Warfare for the rest of the game. Let's see what we get here. Rightful claim. 2 blue. The brood swarmed around the planet, a single tendril-like formation made entirely of Norse ships. This planet would be the home of a new generation of warriors. Which sheet do I want to make active? That gives me 2 claims. That would give me 2 claims on navigation or industry, which I don't really need right now. And yes, it did work out very well. I think I'm going to make industry active. I'm going to make industry active so I can get access, so I can get a blue focus die asset and be able, so I can get a blue focus die asset and be able to unlock the blue focus die on Warfare. So I'll make industry active. I'll claim this blue focus die asset, and I'll immediately spend it so I can pay attention to the blue focus die on Warfare. Then another claim. Since I am making the sheet active, I'm going to choose this counselor space up here and scrap it. And then I've got another claim, which will be... I don't really need pink focus dice unless I want to do something on expansion, which I don't think I do. So I think we're just going to go ahead. Where could I use green focus dice? I could use them on navigation. Potentially cultural if I think or potentially expansion if I think I'm going to try to get some planets there. And I never decided what I was doing with my second claim. That will be to this circle resource down here, which will give me that and give me another trade good. Well, another +1 trade good, I should say. I can pay attention to every focus die on here except the blue focus die. Which, okay, so we just had the council event, which means those are all done. All right, double blue gives them progress toward industry. Actually, I probably have more than 10 scrapped spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't yet, but I will coming out of this turn. So where was I? Oh, yes. Progress toward industry. That's another strength in the war event. Green is now a double green, progress on expansion. So actually, the pink die needed to stay in shot. The blue is the one that needs to leave shot. So I've got access to a scrap and 4 claims, which the scrap will actually be the 10th, so I will get the objective there. The scrap is going to be this counselor, which will give me sourcing expert to have 10 scrap spaces. So 7 victory points there. And 4 claims. I can go quite a ways on the I can go quite a ways on the industry chart here because I've got 4 claims. Let's go. Let's see. How do we want to do this? Let's go 1. That'll give me 2 of these. 2 triangles, which is a victory point. And that's a double, so I get both. 2. Another victory point. 3, which is another 1 of each. Actually, that's another trade good there. Another trade good and a victory point. And 4. We'll unlock another 1 of those. And then I believe it's 1 victory point per 2 trade goods at the end of the game. Adds 1 to their subtotal for every 2 unclaimed trade goods. So yeah, we'll spend one of our I'll spend one of my trade goods since extra trade goods do nothing for. Actually, was that a stage 3 war or a stage 2? That was a stage 3 war. Yeah, so we're going to spend a trade good to claim. Actually, I can claim this double blue space since it's adjacent to a scrap space, the way things have worked out. So a double blue there. Yeah, things seem to be working out pretty well here. Let's see what we get on our next event. This is going to be either that was council. This is going to be either the production or the war event. Divide and conquer, it's the war event. The warnings came too late for the Hylar. When an investigator from the universities arrived weeks later to survey the carnage, naught was left but smoldering craters. The Gashlai's message was clear. So we go to warfare once again. Advance the deployment line. Oh, I thought I had a little more time than that. So I kind of sunk myself on that one. They're coming in with 5 strength. I have exactly 5 strength on the left side of the war. So that's -1 victory point. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the right side. That gives me access to a yellow asset and another population resource since I won another war. Let's see. Then for the yellow specialty, what do I want to do with that here? I'm actually going to spend that to make transit diodes active when I go to per active. All right, so that was the war event. We got a little bit surprised there. our next strategy event. Desperate measures. There was no joy when the orders were received to Glass Ori Bay. It meant that the L1 had already done their worst. There was already nothing left to save. So with 3 pink resources, that would be more explorers on navigation, which could be more victory points, or I start setting up for the last war of the game, because we have we have at least 3 more cards. So I think I do want to start setting up for the last war of the game. So I'm going to make warfare active. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to deploy a cruiser on this side of the war. And I don't think I have a green specialty technology. Nope. So I can't spend to unlock my War Sun, which could be a very useful thing to have here. So that's deploying a cruiser. And then we'll see what I want to do with transit diodes after I roll. I get to pay attention to all 6 dice on this sheet. Okay, so the blue die does nothing for them. The double pink gives them progress toward navigation, and the green gives them progress toward exploration. Okay, so I think we'll spend those dice, the pink double N and the triangle, to build our other dreadnought. How about a red technology? Do I have one of those yet? I do not. Can I get one? I could conceivably. So the dreadnought here is going to go right here. All right, and then I've got 3 more single dice, which I think is going to be a cruiser. Well, the 3 pinks are going to go toward a cruiser, and that was a blue, which I'll put the cruiser over here. And an infantry will go up here. And then transit diodes is active, so I'll deploy a unit down here and another one over here. Each one had to be adjacent and can go below, but I don't need them to. All right, so that card's done. And we'll see what's coming up. This should be the production event coming up, this next event. And it is the production event. I-48S surveyed the new installation, taking note of several routines he already planned to improve upon. The new processes increased output by nearly 11%, and with a little work, he was sure the enhancers could increase efficiency by another 4%. Okay, so that gives me another 4 trade goods. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're into stage 5, so we either have 2 cards left in this game or 4. This first one should be a strategy event. Let's see what we get here. We get Girded for War. Nothing beats the tireless determination of the Zcha. Even the L1Z1X begrudgingly acknowledge their almost supernatural perseverance. Let's see. So what do I want to do here? Well, unlocking my War Sun's pointless now, because I've already kind of locked myself out of being able to deploy that. So I think my focus now instead should be on trying to get technology so I can build my other PDSs and cruisers. So I think with that in mind, do I have any focus dice I can spend? Yes, I do actually. I have a pink focus die asset, so I'm going to make expansion active. I'm going to spend the pink focus die that I got from winning this war a while back so I can pay attention to it while I'm on expansion. Then I've got 2 planetary assets. I'm going to spend 1 on industrial, and the other is going to go on hazardous. All right, so I don't have another green focus die asset. So I'll spend 2 of the pink here. And actually, that was kind of a dumb place to spend that. So I'm actually going to change. Yeah, I'm going to change where I spent that planetary asset. I am still spending both of them, but I'm going to spend it on this cultural planet down here instead. And then I'll spend it over here. And on this sheet, I get to pay attention to the pink. I get to pay attention to the pink focus die. All right, the blue die does nothing for them. The double green gives them access to progress toward expansion, which they can't get, or which they do get. And then the double N gives them progress toward navigation. So that's what I get to pay attention to. That kind of blew up in my face. Because now I've got no way to get a pink, now I've got no way to get a blue technology, so I can build another either PDS or a cruiser. What I can do, though, is I can get up to another population asset by spending these 3 dice, which is 3 N's and a cube here, to get to another population asset. That's another 3. I'm near the top of that one. And then this last N resource is going to go toward another population resource, or another population asset. That didn't work out too catastrophically. Let's see what our next card is. This could either be one more strategy event or the end of the game. Empire Ascendant. The round ends immediately. This game will have one more strategy event. The memory of the war to retake Archon Tau burns in the blood of the Zacha people. Never again will the Zacha sacrifice home for peace. So I almost certainly have to make warfare active, since I know the last event coming up is the war event. And that will be the end of the game. So let's see what resources I have available to me for this. We have Merciless Ambition, 2 blue. The past flooded Axil Sivan's thoughts upon seeing the Mahakt, and the memory of his essence being rewritten on a subatomic level surged involuntarily to the forefront of his consciousness. With 2 blue, that actually works out very nicely, because I will make warfare active, and that'll let me build a PDS. Which I will put that down. Where in the world can I even... Oh, I can put it down... Where do I think I need more strength? I'll actually put it down right here. This is probably going to be deploying a boatload of infantry. Especially since a PDS is really the only thing left I can build. But I can pay attention to all 6 dice on here, and I've got transit diodes active. Okay, that actually worked out pretty well. So the N gives them access to another strength. The blue die does nothing for them, and double green gives them progress on expansion. So I get to pay attention to all 6 dice. Well, I'll use these 2 cube results to get me another PDS. And I'm probably obliterating the Automa here. Now I just got to figure out where I can actually put it down right here. So those are done. And I think everything else right now is just deploying infantry. So I've got a total of 5. Actually, I've got 7 infantry that I can deploy. 2 of them have to be adjacent to a unit, but can go below the deployment line. And I think 1 will, because I've got a PDS right here. So that one can go adjacent. That one can go below the deployment line. 2, we'll call that my transit diodes infantry done. So now I've got 5 more infantry I can deploy. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just to remove the suspense from the game, a throne for the taking. Resolve a war against each neighbor using the final sections. Then score your sheets and determine the new ruler of the galaxy. Sufi-An watched from a safe distance as the payload fell, the glow from the bombardment illuminating her cockpit. Eventually, it would become too dangerous to remain. But for now, she would observe. So the AI came in with a strength of 6, and I just obliterated them on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 strength. That's on the left side. That gives me 3 victory points. And on the right side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I win that war as well. And since I won 2 more wars, I get to go up 2 more tracks on the population track, and that is the end of the game. So, now at the end of the game, we go ahead and score victory points. So, we got up the value of victory points claimed, which in this case is going to be a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 4, 6. Which is a total of 31 points on warfare. On industry, I got the objective first for 7 victory points. 8, 9, 10. Plus another 3 for 6 unclaimed trade goods. So 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 6 victory points total, which is 13. And then expansion, we got 5 victory points, plus the population tracks where we're going to make out like a bandit. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 23, 6, 9, 32. Is good for 37 points on expansion. And then on navigation, I made 5 for the objective, 9, 14. So 9 on the sheet, 14 total victory points, which means I totaled up to, let's see, 31, 45, 58, and 58 and 87 is 95 points. Holy cow. And since I was playing on easy difficulty, in this case, I made Galactic Power. So that's based on the solo 2-player rank on here. Even on medium and hard, I would have made Galactic Power for having 95 victory points. So that'll do it for this playthrough of Twilight Inscription. It's a pretty standard beat the high score mode, but I really like this game over Twilight Imperium just because it gives you a lot of the Twilight Imperium flavor, but it only takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to play through. It's not an all-day game like Twilight Imperium is. I do like the experience of Twilight Imperium, like once or twice a year. We've got a group that gets that game out, but I'm starting to slowly turn on it a little bit, and I think part of it is just the fact that it is such a long game, and there's other stuff I like to do, especially during replays, like I'm in the middle of during my current 1985 season replay. Speaking of which, let's wrap up the video and talk about what's coming up. Tomorrow night, we will have Game 5 of the American League Division Series in my 1985 replay in Season Ticket Baseball. The California Angels will be at home at Anaheim Stadium taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Doyle Alexander will be going for the Blue Jays, and Ron Romanick will be going for the Angels in a winner-take-all Game 5. Friday night, there's going to be no baseball, as I'll be catching up on a few product unboxings of games that have gotten into the collection, but that I haven't had a chance to unbox yet. Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Dungeons & Dragons Flavors of the Multiverse cookbook as we have the entree, Bothy Steak, which will also mean Saturday morning baseball, but I'll talk more about that in tomorrow night's 7th inning stretch. Sunday, we're playing Inside the Crease Hockey from Inside the Sports Games with a third period test. And next week on the channel, once Excel decides to cooperate, we're going to be playing Scythe Expeditions from Stonemaier Games. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.